Hey there. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. We're reading through the book of Job, and we're exploring the Word of God and the truth that's in this book. Scholars say it's one of the oldest books in the Bible, if not the oldest book in the Bible. And there sure is a lot in here. We're seeing stuff from behind the scenes, conversation between Satan and God, and the effects of that playing out in the physical realm and in Job's life. And while we say, some may say, "Oh, well, poor Job, poor Job," I also want to bring maybe the attention to the fact that maybe this is an honor for Job. That God thought so highly of Job that he would raise and bring his name up. And of course, God is omniscient. He knows everything. He knows what's going to happen. But he still raised up the name of Job before Satan. And so we're seeing the effects of that. Job's had three friends. Zophar, Bildad, and let me get this right, Eliphaz. So these are the three friends that most scholars and writers totally bash, and because they don't give the greatest responses to Job, and they don't give him the greatest thoughts and wisdom, and they're not really helping his situation and bringing relief to his pain and misery and agony. But I also want to give them a little bit of a break here. These are three friends that got together and agreed to go visit Job, and they sat with Job for 7 days without saying a word to comfort Job. They sat with him in his misery and his agony because it was so bad they didn't have anything to say, and for 7 days they sat with him. That's one of the best things you can do with people that are suffering, just being there. And so let's dial it down a little bit and give some credit to these guys, even though when they open their mouths they're complete ding-dongs. As we all have been a lot of times. So anyway, we're in chapter 11, and Zophar, the third of what we know to be four friends, five if you count God, coming into Job's life and his situation to bring relief. So chapter 11, then Zophar, the Naamathite, replied, "Are all these words to go unanswered? Is this talker to be vindicated? Will your idle talk reduce men to silence? Will no one rebuke you when you mock? You say to God, 'My beliefs are flawless, and I am pure in your sight.' Oh, how I wish that God would speak and that he would open his lips against you and disclose to you the secrets of wisdom. For true wisdom has two sides. Know this, God has even forgotten some of your sin. Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty?" No, we can't. That's a great question, but is that helping Job? Probably not. One thing I want to add here is that isn't it great, Christian, that we have a God that's endless? We'll never get to the end of him. We'll never completely wrap our hands around it. Well, he's forever ending, and I love that about God. I love that we'll never get bored. We won't be like a kid with a toy that gets to the end of it and then bored and want to go to the next one. God's not that way. He's endless. Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? Verse 7. Verse 8, they are higher than the heavens. What can you do? They are deeper than the depths of the grave. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he comes along and confines you in prison or convenes a court, who can oppose him? Surely he recognizes deceitful men. And when he sees evil, does he not take note? But a witless man can no more become wise than a wild donkey's colt can be born a man. Yet if you devote your heart to him and stretch out your hands to him, if you put away the sin that is in your hand and allow no evil to dwell in your tent, then you will lift up your face without shame and you will stand firm and without fear. So Zophar is saying, if you would just do this, devote your heart and stretch out your hands to God, then things will start going better for you. Well, Job was doing that already. We already read about that. So that's surely not the case in Job's situation. Verse 16 says, you will surely forget your trouble, recalling it only as waters gone by. Life will be brighter than noonday, and darkness will become like morning. You will be secure because there is hope. You will look about you and take your rest in safety. You will lie down with no one to make you afraid, and many will court your favor. But the eyes of the wicked will fail, and escape will elude them. Their hope will become a dying gasp. So that's Zophar. He kept his comments a little bit shorter than his friends in chapter 11. Yeah, that's the third friend that Job had.